Welcome to the channel, and this is another part of the Decade Build series. Today is a little bit special in a way because instead of highlighting a particular architectural style, I'm kind of highlighting the architect behind it. So basically, I was inspired by one of my lovely viewers who suggested that, maybe we should explore some styles that are in Europe, and I thought that was an amazing idea. So I found this house and I immediately fell in love with it, especially the architect behind it. The architect, his name is Adolf Loos, and he is he's an Austrian and Czech architect. And this house specifically is in Vienna, Austria. And I believe I have a picture of him. Yeah, so this is Adolf. And he was an architect, a painter, and a writer, and he is basically considered the father of modern architecture because he wrote a few essays to the, what are they called? Let me see. Vienna Secession. So during this time, a lot of ornamentation was popular, a lot of ornate outsides of buildings were popular. And he was like, no, that's not okay. And we really need something different in architecture. So he promoted the idea of minimalism, clean lines, and just really simple design in both the buildings and the objects in the building. He even called ornamentation a crime. That was the title of his essay or manifesto that he gave in a lecture in 1910. So yeah, he was like, it's not even worth making ornamentation for things because they're just going to go out of style in a few years. So he actually built this house. It's called the Steiner House, and I wanted to make somewhat of a replica of his house. It's not an exact replica, only because, we can't do exact replicas in The Sims, but I tried my best, and I wanted to show you a few pictures of his house that I could find. This is the outside of the house. It's very simple. There's a rounded roof. It's kind of blocky. This is his dining room, so there's paneling, and there's not a lot of stuff everywhere, like most Victorian era homes were, and a lot of the floor plan was open, and some of the rooms were just closed off by curtains. So you'll see in a bit that I tried to do the same type of idea in the sitting rooms in the front. The inside is not an exact replica, only because I couldn't find, a lot of pictures of the inside of the house, but I tried my best. Another thing that we don't have in The Sims 4 is ceiling beams, which were popular during this time. And especially, I noticed that he had a lot of ceiling beams just to kind of accentuate the ceiling in a way. And so I tried to look for a CC to at least make it look like that type of ceiling fixture. But the CC that I did find, it didn't go on the ceiling. So I was like, well, that's not worth it. Also, I am using my new mic. So that's kind of exciting. I hope that it works out better than my old headset. And you can let me know if you think that my new mic is sounding much better than my old headset. But yeah, so the outside of the house, he was against ornamentation, like I said. So he decided to cover the brick of the house with stucco. And he was inspired by some of his trips to the Greek islands, which uses a lot of that type of building material for the outside of the buildings. And he didn't particularly use stucco for its look as much as he did for its functionality, just to make it look really clean and white on the outside. And that was what he wanted, and that's what he did. And it was actually really interesting for me to look at this house in depth because, you know, during this time there was so much Victorian and Edwardian houses and styles, and his house was very minimal and very much against that movement, which was, I think, very bold and interesting for this time period because, you know, most people haven't even heard of it or even thought of doing something like it. And I think that he would probably be considered the father of modern architecture because if it wasn't for him, modernism, contemporary style homes, they wouldn't have existed, I don't think, without his influence. So he was a major influence in the world of architecture. So that's why I wanted to highlight him in the 1910s, because he actually built this house from 1910 to 1912. So yeah, I thought it might be really cool to explore his house and the differences that he did as opposed to, you know, just regular Victorian era homes. And also, I mean, I was getting kind of almost tired of doing Victorian homes. I was telling some of my friends, I was like, I just want to be in the 1950s already in this series, because it's all kind of the same things as far as, you know, the outside and the inside and the same type of objects. So yeah, I kind of wanted to do something a little different, and I thought this would be a perfect example of something that's a little different. So this area, I noticed in one of the pictures, I think it was for the dining room or the living room, but in one of the rooms of his house, there's a bar area with a super long, like, countertops, and there's a lot of detail and, like, wood shelving and just, like, beams that go across the wall. So that's what I was trying to do here, and since we don't really have beams that go horizontally, I just used the wooden shelves that come with the base game. And I noticed during this time period there were chairs that actually were really tall, and they had engraving in the wooden chairs. Also during this time period, rounded gas lights were popular both inside and outside, so I tried to include a lot of those in the house just to brighten up the house and make it look historically accurate. I love this wood paneling that I ended up going with. I think it's very accurate to what I saw in the pictures. So very simple wood paneling and like a neutral paint color. At least I think it was neutral. I can't really tell from the black and white photos, but since he was an advocate for pretty simple living, I wanted to demonstrate that with the wood paneling. So at this point, I decided to knock out those walls and try to add kind of like a curtain in between the sitting areas, because that's kind of what I saw in one of the sitting room pictures that I referenced. So it's just like a large room that you can pull the curtain from the edge of the wall to the next, just so there's a little separation if you wanted, or it can just be completely open. I ended up changing some of these carpets and a little bit of the layout because I felt like the stairs were too close to the dining room table. But yeah, I really like this house, and I love how different it is compared to everything that we've seen up until this point. So moving on up to the second floor, Like I said before, I changed the stairs that were on the right to be on the left. I felt like it was a much better placement as far as layout goes. And, yeah. So this room here is supposed to be his study and his workspace. He was an architect, so I kind of wanted to have a lot of books and an easel and a lot of odd things that maybe he's found in his travels. And I thought it might be a good thing to have it be a little bit cluttered as well, because I feel like most artistic people have clutter in their workspace. And even though he was an advocate for simplicity and, you know, having things look really minimal and clean, I feel like as an artist myself, I feel really anxious if there's like a lot of stuff just not there. I like a little bit of clutter. It makes me feel like I'm working and I'm doing something. And I know that's not the case with most people. Most people need like a clean area to feel like peace of mind or something. I kind of wanted this large corkboard in the office area because I thought maybe he could pin stuff to the board that he likes, or I don't know. I was just kind of thinking that might be good to have in his office, but I ended up taking it away only because there was really no room for the door, and he kind of needs a door to go into his study, so so I wanted to put a lot of books everywhere, a lot of book clutter. I love this book that came with the vampire stuff. I thought maybe that would be like an old like reference book that he has on display or something, and you know, a lot of letters and old scrolls on the shelves. I wanted to do something a little different on top of the fireplace, because he liked to do, well, it seemed like it, he liked to do very detailed like features with wood. So I thought that looked kind of cool on top of the fireplace, and you know, just adding some collectibles that he might have found on his travels or things that he likes. So this is his bedroom, and for his bedroom I imagined him to have a lot of browns and neutrals in his bedroom. Very, very simple, not a lot of fanciness going on. I kind of wanted to do something cool with his headboard, but I don't know. And I totally forgot about these things. The wooden beams that are kind of grouped together. I think they came with City Living, but I totally forgot about them, and I felt like they were so perfect for this type of build. And I think when I do the craftsman style home in the next part, which is next week, I think I'm going to use some of the things that I used in this home, because it was kind of like America's version of his philosophy in a way. I don't know if it was intentionally, you know, based on his philosophy, but it's kind of the same idea. I mean, people in America were just really tired of all the ornamentation and the clutter, and they were just tired and they wanted something different. So that's kind of how the craftsman style was born. I thought about using some like cracks and stuff, but decided against it because at this point it's still a new house, right? So yeah, and I added a lot of like, you know, those architectural looking paintings. I think they came with base game, but I thought they were really cool. And since he's an architect, I thought maybe he would frame some of his designs and display them in his home. So that's kind of what I was thinking with that. There's a few of those downstairs too in the sitting room. But yeah, so I just kind of imagined, you know, something stereotypically masculine, not a lot going on. Maybe just like a little seating area and a dressing table, and that's pretty much all he has in his room. It's very simple. This is his ensuite bathroom, also very simple, just a plain white tub with a pedestal sink and a plain mirror. And yeah, that's basically his bathroom. The bathroom downstairs is a little bit fancier, but it's pretty much the same idea. And here in the landing area, I just kind of wanted another seating room. Maybe, you know, if he has family, the family could, you know, sit up here, or his friends or whatever. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this part and learned a little bit. And I surely enjoy this series. It's probably one of my favorite things that I've ever done. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next part. Bye!